more to you personally in your life than we are talking business, okay? We're going to talk retirement. We're going to talk savings. We're going to talk investments. You're going to learn about the stock market. You're going to learn about the bond market. You're going to learn, I'm going to talk today about 401ks. I'm going to talk about Roth IRAs and regular IRAs, okay? This is stuff all of you should know. If you don't know, this is a really great opportunity for you to do so because you all of you need to be starting this immediately, all right? So, all of my things that I do with my. All right. So what we are now moving into is something called an annuity. An annuity, all it is a series of payments. Okay, your real life works on an annuity. What we did in chapter 10 was we took a lump sum, we put it in there, we saw what it was worth in the future. It's not what you do, okay? What you do is you make regular payments. So when you go into a 401k or retirement account, you're putting money in there every single month, okay? When you do anything, when you're saving up for a trip to Disney World and you need $10,000, you can't put $8,000 in the account today and hope you have 10,000. We have to save every single month, so we have that 10,000. So when you make a car payment, you don't make the car payment as a simple interest loan at one time, you do it in monthly payments. So everything that you do in real life is on an annuity. So we're moving into annuities, and this is really going to mean something to you because this is what you do in your life. So annuity, don't let it scare you. It just means a series of payments. That's all it means. Your rent is an annuity. Your car payment is an annuity. Your mortgage, if you're doing mortgage, is annuity. Any loans that you have, that is an annuity. Any investments you do, that is an annuity. Annuity is just a regular series of payments over time. The one thing about annuities, though, is there's a term associated. When do you put money in your annuity? You put it in at the beginning of the time period or the end. So we're going to talk about this one. Don't worry about it now, but there is a term. There are two different types of annuities. We'll talk about both of them. All right, future value of annuity. This is the same thing that we did in chapter 10. We're going to do a series of payments. Let's say you're going to retire in 40 years. You're going to put $100 into an account every month for the next 40 years. What's going to be in your retirement account? We're looking at the future value of a series of annuities. This one's the same. Present value is going to be different than what we did in chapter 10. What a present value of an annuity is, let's say you're going to retire when you're 65. How much do you have to have in your account at age 65 to give you a monthly flow of income for the next 30 years? So it's not today's amount, not how much you have in the account today. It's when you get ready to start taking that annuity, taking that money, how much has to be in there, okay? How many of you know the recommended amount today in today's dollars for your retirement? How much are you supposed to have? Okay, anybody else?
Way more.
And way more, how much?
I'm thinking like between 1 and 2 mil.
Okay. Anybody else want to give me a guess? It used to be 750,000. It is now $1 million. Okay, $1 million is what it is recommended for the average person. Okay. If you retire at age 65 and you live until you're 95, that's 30 years that you're going to be pulling. And even if you only pull out 50 or 60,000 a year, do that multiplication. See how much that gets to be. It's a huge amount. And the thing is, most of you are young. Okay. So 1 million today is not going to be the same thing as 1 million in 40 years. Okay. You're going to need more than that in 40 years. And I don't mean to scare you, but what I mean to do is to get you to understand the path you need to take in order to not work at Walmart until you're 90 years old. Okay. That is what we're trying to avoid. All right. So same thing we did before, future value, but this time we're going to do a series of payments. We know how many payments we know the amount of time we're doing it. We know our interest. We're trying to figure out what the value is going to be worth in the future. On this present value side, the calculator, the app is super easy to work, okay? But the concepts, you have to understand the concepts. With your present value, it's not today's amount, remember? It's the amount you need in your account. So if you're going to retire at age 70, how much in your account at age 70 so you can take $3,000 a month for the next 30 years, okay? So present value is a little bit different. It's how much has to be in that account before. If you're saving for your kids' college and you're saving for the next 18 years, you need to know in 18 years how much is going to be in that account so you can pay $50,000 a year for your kids' education, okay? That's what we're doing in this particular one. As I said, there are two types of annuities. There's something called an ordinary annuity. Everything we have been doing so far has been ordinary. Ordinary is your default, okay? An ordinary annuity is paid at the end of the time period. We are also doing something called an annuity due. And an annuity due is something that's paid at the beginning of the time period. This is like ordinary interest and exact interest. Ordinary is our default. Ordinary is what we always do. It doesn't say we are doing ordinary, okay? You're gonna have one or two problems that are an annuity due problem, just like you did exact. Unless it says ordinary or annuity due in the problem, you don't worry about it. This is our default. This is what we're gonna work on a couple problems. What's the difference? Let's say you invest money once a year. Let's say you put $2,000 into your account once a year. An ordinary annuity means you're gonna put it into your account on December 31st. An annuity due means you're putting in the account January 1st. Totally different answers are gonna come out of this because this one had a full year to start compounding that interest. This one, because we did it at the end of the period, is not gonna be as high. It's not gonna be a huge difference, okay? But it's a year's difference. If it's monthly, okay, did you put it in on the first of the month or did you put it in on the 31st of the month? That's gonna affect that future value. So it's really important that we know when that money is put into an account. There's some examples, okay? This is what we do. When you go to work, you work for 2 weeks and then they pay you. You don't show up to work on your very first day and they hand you 2 weeks worth of salary and they give it to you. That's not how it works. You work for 2 weeks or a month or a week, however you get paid, and then they give it to you. So they give it to you at the end of that period. Your 401k that we're going to talk about, your retirement account, they take that out of your salary. If your salary hits at the end, guess what? Your 401k is going to hit at the end. Those are the typical things that we do. Some things that don't. Your rent. They don't let you move in, live there for 30 days, and then ask you for your rent. Okay? Your rent happens in advance. Life insurance premiums, same thing. You have to pay them in advance. Not a lot of these. Most everything we're going to do is over here. But you're just aware that it happens at the end of the quarter, end of the month, end of the week, end of the 6-month period, end of the year. Whatever it is, that investment is going in at the end, and it's not earning interest during the beginning of that particular period. All right, so I want everybody to pull out their app, please. All right. Ending, beginning. Ordinary annuities end. I've told you not to touch the mode at all this semester. That's the default. When we get to an annuity due, we change it to beginning. All you have to do, and you're changing the mode. When you're showing me your work, you only need to tell me the mode when it's an annuity due. You do not have to put in mode end each time. Okay? I know it's mode end. What I want to know is, do you know when you actually have to put it in the beginning? Okay, so 2 options. You can put mode beginning, or you can just put due, or you can circle annuity due in the problem. Some indication that I know that you realize, ooh, this isn't a regular problem. This has something different, okay? So we will change that when we need to change that. The next thing that we're going to do, annuities are a series of payments. So now instead of putting something in present value or future value, we're putting it in payments because it's a series of payments. Annual rate does not change, periods does not change, compounding does not change. Only things that we're changing is this if necessary, and then we're starting with payment. So with this problem, find the value of an investment after 4 years for a $12,000 ordinary annuity. How do you know it's a payment? Because it says it's an annuity. It doesn't say monthly payments or yearly payments, it just says it's an annuity. All annuities are payments. So you're going to go over here. You're going to put in $12,000. Okay. Our annual rate is 6%. We're doing 4 years compounded and annually. So it's 4. It's annual. And then we are solving for future value. What is the future value of that account gonna be? It's gonna be $52,495. All right. Do you understand what you're inputting? We're inputting payments because an annuity is a series of payments. This is no different than what we did in chapter 10. This is not going to change except for one or two problems. So this is pretty much going to be the same. And then we're solving for future value. Right. On this one, we're starting to talk about retirement. I'm going to go fully into it in a couple slides, but right now we're just going to talk about this particular guy, Darnell. He contributes 4% of his $38,400 salary into his retirement plan. Additionally, his company matches 2% of the salary into the plan. So when you have a job that offers a 401k, which is a retirement plan, it's going to ask you what percent of your income you want in that plan. How many of you have a 401k? Right. So it'll ask you what percent you want in. Anybody know what the minimum is you should put in? 10, right? 10%. You put 10% of your salary in, you should be okay in retirement. Okay, so if you say 10%, it's going to take 10%. Your company is going to match a percentage of what you're putting into your 401k. So usually it works. They're going to take a limited amount, so 5% of your salary, that's the most they're going to match. And then the money you put in, they're either going to match dollar for dollar, or they're going to match 50 cents per dollar. There's a bunch of different ways to match it. But basically, if you put nothing in your retirement account, your company puts nothing in your retirement account. So what people will always tell you is, at a minimum, get your match. Okay? At a minimum, make sure you put in enough that they're going to match you. So they're giving him a 2% match here. He's putting in 4%. It could be that if he had put in 10%, they might have matched up to 6%. Okay, so he's probably losing money in this thing. But at least he's getting some money. And people saying, oh no, I can't. I need every single bit of my paycheck. I cannot put money into a retirement account. Work for the rest of your life. That's perfectly fine too. You have to make decisions on what you want to do. But this is kind of how a match works. All right, so what's the total match that is going into his account? Total amount, total percent of his salary going into his account. It's his 4% plus the company's 2%. So 6% of his salary. So figuring out 6% of his salary, it's going to be 2,304. So he's going to put in 4% of his 38,400. They're going to put in 2% of his 38,400. So a total a year is going to be 2,304. That's how much is going into his retirement account. But you understand where we got that? Retirement accounts are a percent of your salary. So whatever the percent you're putting in plus whatever percent you're getting matched. Cool thing about a company, if they're going to match you up to $5,000 and you put zero in your account, what do they get to do with that $5,000?
Keep it.
Keep it. Yeah, they're not. It's great for them. We don't have to pay our employee, and you're taking, somebody's looking at you, handing you $5,000, and you're saying, yeah, you can go ahead and keep it. Okay, that's what's happening when you don't match with the 401k. All right. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take this and we're going to turn it into a future value problem. So if the firm, we're going to, as we continue to go through this, when you get your retirement account, you get to choose. Are you a really conservative person? Are you a moderate person? Are you an aggressive person? And it'll kind of ask you a series of questions, and then it'll recommend an investment for you. Most of my problems are going to use the moderate investment, which is a bond fund, which is usually about 5% a year. And then I'm going to use a stock fund, and we're just going to kind of compare them. So he puts it in a moderate investment, about 5% per year. Payment, 2,304. Our rate is 5%. We're compounding annually. We're doing it for 10 years. You're solving for future value. You get $28,979.46.
Does PMT stand for again?
Payment. The funds are 8% compounded annually for 10 years. We're keeping everything the same except for we're changing the rate to 8%. That'll give you 33,000. We're going to talk about a lot in chapter 11. The thing that matters is your return. But if you're a conservative person, that's perfectly fine. You should have a conservative investment. You're just gonna have to put in 3 times the amount that somebody who's not as conservative as you are. Because this is the same amount going into an account. The end result is gonna be very different depending on what type of investment you choose to make. Difference between the two at this point is really not that big. All right, so let's move to that annuity due problem. First thing that we're gonna do, we're gonna read the problem. Find the value of an investment after 4 years for a $12,000 annuity due. So it says in the problem that it is annuity due. So we know immediately the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna change our mode from end to beginning. All right, we have $12,000. It's the same problem, I believe, as the last one we did. The annual rate is 6. Doing it for 4 years, we're doing it annually, and we're solving for future value. The coolest thing about this calculator, which you guys are not going to appreciate, but when we had the actual physical calculators, you had to do this whole 5-step thing to reset it to annuity due. And then you had to do your answer, and then you had to go reset it again. And if you didn't reset it, then all of your problems after that were wrong. So the cool thing here, and you're going to have a couple problems this way, it says, okay, well, what if it was a regular annuity? What if it was an ordinary annuity? And all you do is change it to end. And we have it, right? You don't have to do anything else except for change it to end. So with an ordinary annuity is 52,000. With an annuity due, it was 55,000, I think. 55,000. So not a huge difference, but that just shows the difference of being invested a little bit longer than something else has been invested. One thing that I really want you to remember to do is once you do that annuity due, immediately after you write down your answer, change it back to end. You leave it at beginning and you solve the rest of your test with the wrong type of annuity, then it's all going to be wrong. So this is going to be a one-time problem on your test. You do the one-time problem and then you immediately go back and you switch it to end. Okay? So you don't have any problem with that. Let me do one more. I'm going to have you do this one on your own. Mr. and Mrs. Thompson set up an investment program using an annuity due with payments of $500 at the beginning of each quarter. So they gave you both. They told you it was an annuity due and they told you it was the beginning. They could have just left beginning in there and you have to know it's an annuity due, or they could have left the words annuity due and you knew it's annuity due. This helps you, right? If it says beginning, because you know you have to click on beginning. They make payments for 7 years into an investment account expected to pay 8% compounded quarterly. Find the amount of the annuity. Once you have done it, show me a thumbs up so I can reveal the answer. Ready? So your mode is a beginning. Your payment is 500. Your rate was 8. Your periods were 28. You were compounding quarterly. Solving for future value, 18,896.12. I got 1 nod. I got 2 nods. I got a couple nods. Everybody good?
Put it in the thing.
Are you doing it now? You got it? Yeah. Back to, this is your time. If you don't get it, ask. This is the time I can come look at your, this is what's cool about the app too, is I can look at your inputs and tell you what you did wrong. When you put it in the calculator, it disappears into a key and I have no idea what you put into any of your keys. So this app is really cool because you actually see what you put in the keys. Okay, the next big thing that we are having to do, remember when we figured out the interest before, we took future value and we subtracted present value, and that's how we figured out the interest. This time, because we're doing a series of payments, we have to figure out how much money went into the account. We made a payment of $500, 28 times. 500 times 28 is the total amount that went into that account. So we put $14,000 into the account. Our future value was $18,896. minus that 14,000, gives you your interest. Everybody understand how we got this? A series of payments. Each time they put in $500. How many times did they put in $500? They did it 28 times. So 28 times 500 tells the total amount that went into that account. Set that to end. Now I'm going to talk. You can listen, you don't have to listen. How many of you have an IRA? Nope. I have one person in here that has an IRA. I have two people that have 401ks. You have an IRA. All right. So the deal with life these days is you have to save for your own retirement. Unless you were military or you were in a job that allowed you some sort of pension, the majority of people have to save their own money. So the government has set up several programs that you can use in order to save your own money. If you work, your company most likely will have a 401k. 403b if you work in a nonprofit, 457, thrift savings plan. They all have a bunch of different names, but they're all the same as a 401k. That's what your company offers you. Sometimes your company doesn't offer it to you, or sometimes you're not working, or sometimes you do both, which my husband and I did. We did both of these, so not one or the other, okay? These are set up that any person who earns income, and you do have to earn income. So if you don't have earned income, you cannot have a Roth or a regular IRA. But if you have earned income, you can put money into what's called an IRA, individual retirement account. Unlike Ireland, okay? It's an individual retirement account. Put money in there. You're allowed to put up to $77,000 in 2024. If you're over 50, you get to put in $8,000. That's your catch up. If you didn't do it early, you need to start doing it late so you have enough to do. What happens is you put money in there. We're going to talk about them separately. This is what you want to do, but I'm going to talk about this one first. So this one, where can you set them up? Any bank. Any bank that you bank with will allow you to set up an IRA. I'm also going to tell you, because my goal is to get you to go out and start an IRA right now. Okay, so Charles Schwab. Charles Schwab is an excellent brokerage company, and they have companies from all over that you can choose from, and you can set up that IRA. You can also do any of the Vanguard, Fidelity, Janus, Century, American Century. There's a bunch of investment companies. If you have questions, I am not a stockbroker. I am not licensed, but I'm willing to talk to anybody who wants to at least get started, okay? So you get started. While you have your calculators out there, put in your app. So this is going to be a present value. So when my children turned 18, I made them start an IRA. So present value, $3,000. They put it in a stock market fund that historically returns 10%. So put 10%, compounded annually, or they did it when they're 18, so we're going to give them 50 years until they're 68. So put the number 50 in there. And then solve for future value. What do you come up?
3.4 million.
No, that's too much.
352,000.
Okay. So I made them when they were 18 years old, put $3,000 in an account. If they keep that money in the account for the next 50 years and don't touch it, that's what it's going to turn into. This is what is so cool about compound interest. Okay. So 2 of my kids are continuing to put money into it. 2 of my kids are not doing anything with it, but at least I got them started, right? With a base, because they were 18 years old. They had 50 years for this money to develop, okay? So IRAs, put money in there. You can't do it on a regular basis. Occasionally, see if you can put money in there. All right, regular IRA, the way this works is however much you put in there, up to that $7,000, you can take it as a tax credit. So if you make $37,000 a year, you put $7,000 in there, you're only taxed on $30,000. So it helps you initially in your taxes. It will grow tax-free until you are 72. And then you have to start taking it out, okay? When you take it out, you have to pay taxes on it. The benefit of the Roth IRA You earn 37,000 a year, you put in 7, you still pay taxes on that 37 that you earned. Your money goes in there, it goes tax-free, and when you retire, you pay no taxes at all. So it's free income for you to live on in your retirement. This came after this started. This is what came after. If you can afford to do the Roth IRA, you should do a Roth IRA, yes.
Why would we do a regular IRA if we can do a Roth IRA?
Well, a couple reasons. One, if your income limit is too high, and I'm talking, it has to be $200,000, okay? It has to be high. And I think that's for married couples. I think for single, if it's over 110,000, you cannot contribute to a Roth. You have to contribute to a regular. So are there income limits with it? So people who are high earners would have to put it in a regular. The other thing is, sometime you might be earning a lot of money and your taxes are horrible and you need the break then. You need the break in that tax year so you can use that money for other things. That's what a regular will do for you. You don't know how much your taxes are going to be when you're retiring. They could be way less than they currently are, or they could be way more. You don't know. And so some people are willing to take the risk that they're going to get the benefit now, and then they'll deal with taxes when they deal with taxes. So that kind of depends. Okay. So this is what you can do. You can do a regular, you can do a Roth. They have to be invested into something. And that's what I'm going to talk to you on Thursday. We're going to talk about stocks, mutual funds. We're going to talk about things that you can invest it in. You can't put it in a savings account. You play with your little thing and you put a 1% interest in there instead of that 10% I gave you, that number is going to change drastically, okay? So we're going to talk about investments and what you put it in. Talk really quickly about work. The way it works at work, you can actually put up to $23,000 a year into a 401k, as long as you're making $23,000 a year. On top of that, your company usually matches. Match is usually somewhere between $2,000 and $6,000. It's not tons, but over the years, if they keep putting in $2,000 or $3,000 or $4,000, that's going to add up. Okay, so you can put up to 23, and then they can match on top of that. If you're over 50, you can put an additional $10,000 in there. Okay. If you do a regular 401k, same thing as a regular IRA. If you make 100,000, you put 10,000 in, you get taxed on 90,000 that year. Gross tax-free, you are required in a regular IRA and a regular 401k to make withdrawals. You have to pay the government back their taxes. So they do something called a required minimum distribution. I know this is too much for you, but you have to empty that account before you die because they want all their taxes back. On a Roth, you don't, because you've already paid taxes up front. The government doesn't care what you do with it. Okay. And so you can leave it to your kids. It's a 100% tax-free, inheritance-free gift. So if you have money in an IRA, Roth IRA that you haven't spent, and you want to give it to your kids, they get that full amount, no taxes at all. You give this to them, they pay taxes on that. So some things to think about as you're doing. Roth IRAs just came into the workplace somewhere between 5 and 6 years ago. They are brand new to the workplace. So most people had a regular 401k. And back to what you're saying, I've always used a 401k. Why should I go to a Roth IRA? You're really comfortable with what you had. And so getting people to change over to the Roth is not so easy. But if you start a new job and you get to choose between a Roth and a regular, Roth is usually the way to go. Get tax-free, and then you can take it out. It also allows you to take it out, and I don't want to tell you this, but with a regular 401k, you cannot take money out unless you pay penalties before you are 59 and a half. Because you've already paid your taxes on that Roth, you can actually break into your Roth and take money out of it. You shouldn't, this is retirement, but there's a bunch of different rules, good things with it. Okay, so we're gonna do this. At 27, Joanne sets up an IRA with an online broker, Charles Schwab. She plans to deposit $2,000 at the end of each year. End of each year means ordinary, okay? End is ordinary. Until age 60, find the amount of the annuity if she invests in. We're gonna do a bond fund and we're gonna do a stock fund. We're gonna compare the two. First thing we need to know is we need to know how long she's making this investment. So if she starts at age 27 and goes to age 60, 60 minus 27 is 33. This is 33 years. All right, so I want you to do it on your own. These are payments, $2,000 in payments, 33 years annually, 6%. Figure out the future values. Should have forgotten, 194,686.33. If you didn't, check to make sure your mode is at end and not beginning. And that you have the right things in all your tests. All right, now we're gonna check it with something that's a little bit higher risk, 10%. We're gonna put 10% there instead of 6%. $444,503.09. Okay, exact same investment, more conservative, more aggressive. If you put your money in a savings account, it can be right here. I know, it's really, really sad, but that's where it is. It's not gonna grow. There's no compounding interest if you're getting 0.05% interest. It just doesn't compound. So whatever you put in, it will build up, but you're getting no interest. This is moderate. This starts getting aggressive. Okay, as I said, I'm gonna talk to you about bond funds. I'm gonna talk to you about stock funds. Most of you are gonna be moderate. I'm trying to get you to go up here, but I'm gonna go up here, which is fine. You just have to know what you are. We'll talk about that on Thursday. Okay, that took us through 10-1 or 11-1. We're gonna go to 11-2. Now we're gonna do that present value. Okay, with a present value, remember what I said, it's not today's amount, it's the amount that has to be in the account the day you start withdrawing your annuity. Annuity is a series of payments. So when you retire, let's say you think you need $5,000 a month to live on. Your annuity would be $5,000. $5,000 a month from when you retire until you think you're gonna die. This is another big thing for planning. And you're gonna do all of this, by the way, on your Project 11 worksheet. Okay. Worst thing ever. Well, I think I'm gonna die at age 80. So you set up your retirement account to fund yourself until age 80, and then you wake up the day after your 80th birthday, and guess what? You got no money, okay? So whenever you are doing these pre-planning things, plan well past you think you're gonna live, okay? If there's people in your family that live until their 90s, do it until you're 100. Okay, if everybody in your family died at age 55, you might be okay doing it for 20 years, okay? But you should do somewhere between age 90 and age 110 when you're planning this. If you don't live that long, great, give the money to your kids or give it to a charity. If you do live that long and then you live longer, uh-oh. Bummer, I'm still alive. What do I do? Hi kids, here I am, welcome. Okay. So, what we're gonna do now, she wants a $20,000 annuity, so in your payment, you are putting $20,000. Interest rate is 8%, it is paid annually, and she's gonna do this for 5 years. She wants a stream of payments for 5 years. It's a good example of college maybe, okay? You wanna pay for college over a period of 5 years. How much do you have to have in the account to start in order to give yourself $20,000 a year for 5 years? Now we are solving for present value. So to start this annuity, she needs $79,854.20. If she takes out $20,000 a year at this interest rate for this period of time, she will clear that account in 5 years. But she will have the money she needs every year for those 5 years. But you understand the point of present value? How much? You can't do a retirement. We're gonna do a lot of retirement planning. If you don't know how much you need to start with, you don't know how much to save, you don't know how much you're gonna get monthly, you don't know anything. You have to have a goal. What needs to be in that account for you to be able to survive through your retirement years? This is how we figure it out. Okay, this is very similar to worksheet 11. It has an additional problem that we're gonna do in 11.3, but this is basically what you guys are gonna do. Now you're gonna set up a retirement account. She plans to retire from nursing at age 65. She hopes to withdraw $3,500 each month until she is 90 years old. If you are gonna do this before I go over it, I'm gonna kick this back to you if you're saying something so low that you cannot live on it. First of all, if you are in your 20s, one, you can't live on $3,500 a month now, okay? But we're talking 40, 50 years from now, you are not going to be able to live on $3,000. So if you give me a monthly amount that is unreasonable, I'm gonna kick it back to you and say, no, that is not even working, okay? So you're gonna figure out what you need in your retirement. How much do you need to live on per month? So this one, she wants $3,500, that's gonna be her payments. She wants it from age 65 to 90. which is 25 years, I would assume, okay? She's doing this monthly, so she needs 3,500 in payments. Doing a total of 300 payments, 25 years, paid monthly is 300 payments. Her rate is 8%. She's compounding monthly. So she'll need to have $453,000 in her retirement account in order to get her $3,500 a month. Now we're gonna check it against what she's already doing. She's putting in $250 a month. She started at age 32. She's gonna go to age 65. So her payment is 250. That's what she's putting in per month. 65 minus 32 is 33 years. 33 times 12 is a number that I didn't put up here. Your rate is 8, compounded monthly. She's going to have 483,000. She's gonna have enough. Yeah, she needs 453. She's gonna have 483. Whenever we do all of this, these are estimates. There's no guarantee at all when you make an investment that you're gonna earn 10% a year. No guarantee you're gonna earn 5% a year. Some years you might lose 20%. There is no guarantee. The only thing we can do is estimate. We can estimate how much we think we're gonna save. We're gonna estimate how much we think we're gonna earn. All of those things, we go on historical estimates. What has happened in the past 50, 60 years? That's what we're using to plan on, okay? So these are all estimates. There's no guarantee. There's no guarantee at all that she's gonna have 483,000. She might have less, she might have more. We don't know. This is a pretty good estimate of what she's gonna need, but we don't know the cost of living when she retires at that period of time. So that's also, this is all estimate. But it's better to try to plan than just not do anything at all. This one, for some of you who are tired of me talking about retirement, you're hoping that, and I taught personal finance for a very long time. And I had people whose retirement plan was buying lottery tickets. Well, if you win the lottery, you got your retirement taken care of. So they'd rather take their money, put it into the lottery, because they thought they could win the lottery, than having to, well, there's no way I can save $1 million, so I might as well put my money in the lottery. We're gonna show you how that works, okay? So we're gonna talk a little bit about winning the lottery, or winning if you're hitting a car accident and you get a big judgment of $1 million or 750,000. What should you do with that judgment? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna compare a current lump sum today versus turning it into an annuity. So should you take it? Whenever you win the lottery, you have a choice. They'll give you X number of dollars today, or they'll give you an annuity for the rest of your life, for 20 years, for 30 years of X number of dollars. Which one do you take? We're gonna do the math to figure that out. All right. Jean has offers on her land from 2 different real estate developers. Captain Home offers $200,000 in cash today for the land. Real Property offers $80,000 now as a down payment, and payments of $10,000 at the end of each quarter for 4 years. Assume the money can be invested at 8% per year, compounded quarterly. Which offer is better? Biggest thing I need you to take, and I'm going to say this and you're still not going to get it. Biggest thing, we are comparing it to 200,000. Is this present value or future value? It is present value. So the problems we're going to do with the annuity have to be solved for present value. You cannot compare today's 200,000 with 8 years from now future value. You can't do it. This is a present value problem. So, Captain Homes, $200,000 today. This is a present value. This is what we're going to compare it to. We're going to go up to theirs and we're going to turn it into an annuity. They're doing $10,000 each quarter for 4 years. So your payment is $10,000. Your rate is 8. Quarterly for 4 years is 16 payments. And we're solving for present value. So we've done our present value. Now we have to add something to it. What are we adding to it?
The down payment.
Yep, 80,000, which is also in present value dollars. You can't add a present value down payment to a future value. Everything has to be in present value. So we're going to add that 80,000. The cash offer is worth 200,000. The annuity is worth 215,000. Questions on that problem? All right, let's do a fun one. You won the lottery. You have an option to take $25 million today. Or you can get $500,000 a year for the next 20 years. What should you do if you have an account that will earn 5% compounded quarter? And to be honest, the lottery actually keeps your money for it. They invest it and they tell you what rate you're gonna get. So this is not a guess. They're gonna say, hey, we're gonna give you this annuity over this period of time, all right? So today's value, 25 million. We're gonna do that annuity. The payments are $500,000. We're doing it annually for 20 years at 5%. Yep, sorry, we're doing it quarterly. I didn't pay any attention, quarterly. Okay? The value of that one is 25. Now, somebody tell me. They each have their own benefits. Why would you take $25 million in cash now?
I mean, you could do it.
Immediate gratification, $25 million. Oh my God. Y'all hear stories about people who take that $25 million? What happens to them? They go bankrupt. Okay. So sometimes an annuity is good. Why? This is guaranteeing you for how many years? 20 years that you're going to get $500,000 a year. Okay. So it's up to you, right? You can take that 25 million and you can invest it. You can buy it. You can do what you want. It might do really well, or you might lose it. You can do an annuity. Sometimes they'll do a lifetime annuity. You can get, $50,000 a year for the rest of your life. Sometimes that's better because you can plan on it and you're having an income. Whereas this one, you get scammers that are out there. You get bad things that happen. You get people who take advantage of all your friends and family now want you to do what?
Give them money.
Yes, you're paying for the vacation. You're paying for dinner. You're paying for rent.
What if, and Julie, what if you just take the lump sum and then put it in like your own stuff, like a IRA?
So IRAs, remember, you can only put in X number of dollars a year. So you have 25 million and you can put 7,000 of that into your IRA. You can put it into a savings account, okay? It's still not gonna earn a lot, it's still 25 million, right? It's still a safe thing to do, but you're not getting the money out of it that you could get. And if you invest something at one time, we're gonna talk about this when we talk about stocks. You could have picked the day the stock market was like this, and then the stock market goes like that, and you go from 25 million to 10 million in 2 days. Jason?
I just hire you to figure all this stuff out.
I know. I love it. I love doing this stuff. I use that calculator on a regular basis. Figuring out investments, what we're doing, how much we should save, how much trips are gonna cost. I use it all the time. Okay. Last group. And I'm gonna try to do this in 6 minutes, so I give you at least 15 minutes to go. All right, so we're gonna talk about something called a sinking fund. Sinking funds are usually used in business. It's a business term. I've never heard it used as a regular person term. It's usually a business term. We're gonna talk about stocks, we're gonna talk about bonds. Bonds is when you, the general public, loans Amazon money. So Amazon needs $50 million. They're gonna do a bond issuance. They're gonna set out a bunch of $1,000 bonds. All of you, general public, are gonna go ahead and buy that bond. They're gonna guarantee you 6% interest over the lifetime of the bond. Bonds are a period of time, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, 30 years, okay? At the end, let's say it's a 10-year bond. At the end of the 10-year bond, all those people holding that $50 million worth of bonds are gonna go back to Amazon and say, give me my money. And they need to have, I don't even know what I started with, $60 million, $50 million. They have to be able to pay that back to the people. So by law, they're required to set up what's called a sinking fund. So every year, whether it's monthly, quarterly, annually, they have to put money into an account. So at the end of the bond period, they have that $50 million to pay all the people. That's why bonds are considered a little bit safer, because they actually have to set up an account to pay you. So you'll get your $1,000 back, plus you'll get the interest that they promised you. Then you're in trouble. And we'll talk, no, we're gonna do bonds, and I'll talk to you about bonds and junk bonds. That the issue is, the more risk that company is, the higher interest they have to pay you. The less risk they are, like the United States government, they might only pay you 1% interest. So it has to do with how risky they are. So that's kind of the whole thing with interest. Okay, so a sinking fund is something they set up so that they can repay a bond. But you can also do this as a person, okay? If you want to have a down payment for a house in 10 years, you know, you need $100,000 for a down payment in a house. How much do I need to put away monthly to get that $10,000? You're gonna take your kids on a trip to Disney World, which you need to take out a loan for these days, okay? You're gonna do that in 5 years. If we start putting X number of dollars away a month, how much we need, $10,000 or $20,000 for Disney. You can figure out how much you should be putting away so you can save it. I'm gonna give you a really quick example of me. So when I got married at 21, right out of college, and my husband was 22. And when you get married, all of a sudden you have two families. And so young, not making a lot of money, we had two families to buy Christmas for. So we bought, and he has 5, and his family have 3, and my family plus. And so we went and we bought all these Christmas gifts, and then we spent the next 6 months paying off our credit card. And I don't pay credit cards. We're gonna do credit cards. I don't pay credit cards. I pay credit cards immediately. And we had to do 6 months of paying interest and all of those things. And I said, this doesn't work. And I heard of something called a Christmas Club account. I don't know if anybody heard about it. They're older. But the Christmas Club account was you could set up a specific account and you could put $200 a month in it for the entire 12 months. And then at Christmas, you had $2,400 and you didn't have to go into debt. And I'm like, if I'm going to pay it behind, I can easily pay it ahead. And so that started my whole financial journey on, I don't go into debt. I save for things in advance and then I pay for it. I don't buy something and then pay extra for it. So that's a sinking fund. Something as simple as saving up for Christmas is considered a sinking fund. How much do you usually spend at Christmas? Okay, then you need to put this much money into an account over time in order to have that amount so you pay for cash for Christmas and you don't get yourself into debt. So I kind of said this, a sinking fund repays a bond. So this example, Google needed $10 million. They issue $10,000, $1,000 bonds. Maturity value is 10 years from now. So in 10 years, people are going to come back. They want their $10 million. They have to put enough money into an account to have that. And then this one, you can do it for anything. House payments, vacation, Christmas gifts, college for your kids, whatever you want to do. You can get it set up so you know how much. Some of you are going, well, I don't know how, if I'm going to save for my kids' education, how much do I put it per month? This is how you figure it out. If I'm going to do a down payment on a house, how much do I need to save? This is how you figure it out. This helps you plan instead of just randomly throwing money into account hoping it's enough. Okay, this gives you that plan to do so. So to retire a bond issue, Yahoo needs $8 million 20 years from today. The interest rate is 5% compounded monthly. What payments must Yahoo make at the end of each month to their sinking fund? As I said, the only time you're going to see beginning is when it was an annuity due. That was going to be an 11-1. It'll be 1 12. Okay, otherwise it's always end. So this, when you're doing a sinking fund, you always know how much you need in the future. You're putting money in the future. We're going to make 240 payments. The rate's 5%. We're going to do it monthly, and we're solving for payments. What payments do we have to make? 240 of these payments will get us to $8 million. $8 million. So whenever you're setting up a sinking fund, they will always give you a future value amount, and you are solving for payments. All right, 5 years. This is a business problem. You want to expand your business. You want to buy a fleet of trucks. You want to buy a new building. You want to do something. You don't just take out a loan for it. It's the worst thing you can do. You got to start saving. You got to use your profits. You got to make something. So in 5 years, the hospital administrators plan to erect a building that includes a gym and a swimming pool that can be used for therapy at a cost of $16,500,000. To prepare for the expense, they've decided to make end of the quarter deposits into a sinking fund, expected to earn 6% compounded quarterly. So how much is each quarterly payment? Our future value is $16.5 million. We're doing 20 payments. Rate is 6%. We're doing it quarterly. So they have to put in $713,554.64. It's a lot of money. But if they're making a really good profit, you take parts of your profit in order to expand or grow your business. That's what you do with your profits. You don't just willy-nilly spend it. That's how your business goes out of business. You need to plan for the future. For in this case, they're needing to put a lot of money away, but they're going to build a whole new building. Okay, the interest earned. We did this before. We're going to take the payments times the total payments. That will be the amount put into the account. This is our future value. So future value minus the total amount put into the account, gonna give us our interest. And I know we're talking in big numbers, 16.5. Compound interest is so cool when you get a lot of money. That snowball rolls over and you get millions or hundreds of thousands or tens of thousands of dollars. All right, I'm gonna go through this, I'm gonna skip that one. We'll just play with the fun one at the end, okay? Bezos wants to do his own private jet, which he already has, I'm sure, but he's gonna get a new private jet. He wants to do that in 4 years. Cost is $14,800 today, and the cost is expected to grow at 5% per year. How much will that plane cost in 4 years? What type of problem is this? What's it asking us to do? Future value of a present value. There's no annuities in this, okay? We know right now, today, present value is 14.8. We're gonna solve for future value. This is inflation, 5% compounded annually. So we got our present value, how much the plane costs today. The rate is 5% because that's what inflation is gonna be. Our period is 4 years because that's when we want it. We're compounding annually. So our future value will be 17,989,492.50. Okay. Second step. All right. So he knows this is what he needs in 4 years. We're going to do a sinking fund. So we're going to take this. This is our future value. We're doing 6% compounded quarterly for 4 years. The rate is 6%, 16 periods quarterly, and we are solving for. Nope, what in a sinking fund, you always solve for payment. Sinking fund always solves for payment. They're gonna have to he's gonna make this payment 16 times in order to come up with that amount. All right, ladies, online, I am done. You may exit. Please print out your assignments.